The Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday's episode promise a powerful and emotional hour in Genoa City, where fear, manipulation, family loyalty, and medical uncertainty collide in devastating ways. Patty Williams will appear to score a disturbing victory over Diane Jenkins Abbott, while Kyle Abbott struggles to control his temper as the woman he believes is innocent faces accusations that could destroy her life. At the same time, Nikki Newman prepares for the next step in her recovery, but Victor Newman will make a decision that catches her off guard and reminds everyone that, when it comes to protecting Nikki, Victor rarely waits for permission. Between Jack Abbott's fight for survival, Diane's desperate attempt to defend herself, Patty's dangerous lies, and Nikki's emotional return to the ranch, Tuesday's episode will be filled with pain, tension, and the kind of family drama that The Young and the Restless does best. The nightmare at the Abbott mansion will continue to haunt everyone involved, especially Diane and Kyle. Jack Abbott will be rushed to the hospital after being found in critical condition, bleeding heavily from a stab wound that could easily have ended his life before anyone had a chance to save him. For the Abbott family, this will not simply be a medical emergency. It will feel like the ground has disappeared beneath them. Jack is the center of the Abbott family in many ways, the person who holds together old wounds, family pride, business loyalty, and emotional history. Seeing him helpless, unconscious, and dependent on doctors will be unbearable for those who love him. Even worse, the terror of Jack's condition will quickly become tangled with suspicion, accusation, and manipulation. Instead of allowing Diane to focus entirely on her husband's survival, Patty Williams will make sure Diane is forced into a different kind of battle, a battle for her own innocence. Diane Jenkins Abbott will be devastated by the fact that she cannot simply remain at Jack's bedside as his wife. Under normal circumstances, Diane would want nothing more than to hold Jack's hand, whisper to him, beg him to keep fighting, and remind him that he is not alone. She would want to be close enough to hear every update, to watch every doctor's expression, and to cling to the hope that Jack's strength will pull him through. But Patty's accusation will cruelly rob Diane of that role. Instead of being treated only as a terrified wife, Diane may find herself treated as a suspect. The woman who should be surrounded by sympathy may instead be watched with doubt. The woman who should be allowed to grieve and pray may be forced to answer questions, defend her actions, and explain why Patty's version of events is not only false but dangerously calculated. That emotional injustice will cut deeply, because Diane has spent so long trying to rebuild trust, and now, in one horrifying moment, Patty may threaten to undo everything. Patty Williams is responsible for Jack's stabbing, but that will not stop her from insisting that Diane is the guilty party. In fact, Patty may lean into the lie with chilling confidence. Patty knows how to manipulate fear, confusion, and old doubts. She understands that Diane's past makes her vulnerable to suspicion, and she may use that to her advantage. Patty does not have to present a perfect story. She only has to create enough uncertainty for the authorities to hesitate and enough panic for Diane's enemies or doubters to wonder whether history has repeated itself. That is what makes Patty so dangerous. Her lies do not need to be completely believable at first glance. They only need to attach themselves to existing doubts. Diane has not always been trusted in Genoa City. She has made mistakes, burned bridges, and earned suspicion from people who still remember who she used to be. Patty may exploit that history with ruthless precision, turning Diane's past into a weapon against her present. Dr. Lawrence Markham's role in this storyline could make everything worse. Patty may be able to convince Markham to support her accusation, or at least Markham may find it convenient to back her version of events. If Markham tells Detective James Burrow that Diane is dangerous, his words could carry weight simply because he is a doctor. He may present himself as a professional who understands Diane's mental state, behavior, or supposed instability. He could claim that Diane deliberately fled his care and then went after Jack, framing her escape not as an act of desperation but as proof of guilt. This would be a devastating twist for Diane because Markham's authority may give Patty's lie the appearance of credibility. Even if what he says is completely false, the fact that he says it calmly, professionally, and in front of law enforcement could make Detective Burrow take the accusation more seriously. Of course, that is not what happened. Diane did not escape from Markham in order to attack Jack. She and Kyle escaped because they were trying to survive, trying to get away from a situation that had become dangerous and twisted. Diane did not stab Jack. Patty did. But in the chaos, after a violent attack, truth can become fragile. People panic. Witnesses contradict each other. Suspects are judged by reputation as much as evidence. And when someone like Patty moves quickly enough, she can create a false version of events before the real one has time to breathe. That is exactly the advantage Patty may have in Tuesday's episode. Jack may be unable to speak for himself, Diane may be too emotionally overwhelmed to present her case calmly, and Kyle may be too furious to help in the way he wants to. Patty, meanwhile, may appear wounded, frightened, or convincing enough to make her lie sound like survival rather than manipulation. Kyle Abbott's reaction will likely be explosive. Kyle knows Diane did not stab Jack, and the idea that she could be arrested or blamed while his father lies fighting for his life will push him to the edge. Kyle has always had a complicated emotional relationship with both of his parents, but in this crisis, his loyalty to Diane may become fierce and immediate. He will not be able to stand by quietly while Patty paints Diane as a monster. He will likely challenge Detective Burrow, argue against Markham's claims, and insist that the authorities are looking in the wrong direction. But Kyle's anger, while understandable, may not help Diane's situation. If he loses control, raises his voice, or confronts Burrow too aggressively, he could make the scene even more chaotic. Instead of proving Diane's innocence, Kyle's rage could make the authorities view the Abbott side as emotional, unstable, or desperate. That is the tragedy of Kyle's position. His instincts are right, but his emotions may betray him. He wants to defend his mother, protect his father, and expose Patty, all at the same time. No son could be expected to stay calm under those circumstances. Jack is in critical condition. Diane is under suspicion. Patty is lying. Markham may be backing the wrong story. Burrow may be preparing to make a decision that could destroy Diane's freedom. Kyle will feel trapped between fear and fury, and that pressure could push him into a dangerous mistake. He may beg Burrow to listen. He may accuse Patty directly. He may demand that Markham be investigated, but the louder he becomes, the more Patty may benefit. Patty can stand there pretending to be the victim while Kyle appears out of control, and that contrast may help her false story gain ground. Detective James Burrow may eventually decide to arrest Diane if Markham supports Patty's statement. From Burrow's perspective, the situation may appear clearer than it really is. There is a stabbing victim. There is a direct accusation. There is a doctor supporting the claim that Diane was dangerous and had fled care. There is Diane at the center of the chaos. There is Kyle screaming in her defense, but perhaps without enough evidence to prove what really happened. Burrow may feel he has no choice but to act. That decision would be devastating for Diane, who will already be shattered by Jack's condition. Being taken away, or treated like the person who tried to kill her own husband, would be almost too cruel to bear. Diane may plead that Patty is lying, insist that Markham is wrong, and beg Burrow to look deeper before making a mistake. But once Patty's accusation is reinforced by Markham, Diane may find herself facing a wall she cannot easily break through. For Patty, this will feel like a major victory. She may not have won forever, but she may win this round. In Patty's mind, getting Diane blamed for Jack's stabbing could feel like justice, revenge, or proof that she is smarter than everyone else. She may believe she has successfully shifted attention away from herself and placed Diane exactly where she wants her, isolated, desperate, and disbelieved. Patty's satisfaction may be terrifying because it shows how little remorse she feels for what happened to Jack. Jack is fighting for his life, yet Patty's focus may remain on controlling the narrative. That makes her actions even more chilling. She is not simply panicking after a crime. She is actively shaping a lie, using every available weakness to protect herself and punish Diane. Diane's emotional state will be one of the strongest parts of the episode. She will likely feel grief, terror, anger, and helplessness all at once. Her husband may die, and instead of being comforted, she may be interrogated. Her son may be defending her, but his rage could put him at risk. Her accuser may be standing nearby, pretending to be innocent. And the authorities may be listening to the wrong people. Diane has fought hard to become part of Jack's life in a real and lasting way. She has wanted stability, love, and a place in the Abbott family that was not built only on suspicion. Now, Patty's accusation threatens to drag her back into the old role Genoa City has often assigned her: the dangerous woman, the manipulator, the person no one should fully trust. That will hurt almost as much as the fear of losing Jack. The hospital setting will add even more pressure to the storyline. Every beep of a monitor, every hurried doctor, every closed door, and every whispered update will remind everyone that Jack's life is not guaranteed. While Diane fights for her innocence outside the operating room or near the emergency area, Jack will be fighting for his life inside. That contrast will be painful. The person who may be able to clarify everything is the one person who cannot speak. If Jack wakes up, he may be able to reveal the truth. But until then, Patty's lie has space to grow. The longer Jack remains unconscious or unstable, the more danger Diane faces. In that sense, Jack's medical crisis and Diane's legal crisis are connected. His silence becomes Patty's shield, and Diane's only hope may be that Jack survives long enough to tell the truth. Meanwhile, away from the Abbott crisis, Nikki Newman's storyline will move into a quieter but still deeply emotional phase. Nikki will be preparing to leave the hospital, which should be a positive step, but her recovery is still filled with uncertainty. She has been through a frightening ordeal, especially with her vision loss and surgery. Even if doctors believe she is stable enough to be discharged, that does not mean Nikki feels ready to return to normal life. In fact, there may be no normal life waiting for her right now. She may still be adjusting physically, emotionally, and psychologically to everything that has happened. Being released from the hospital does not erase the trauma. It simply moves the battle to another place. Nikki may initially hope to return to the athletic club or another setting that gives her a sense of independence. For Nikki, independence matters. She is not someone who enjoys being treated as fragile. She may want to prove that she can handle her recovery on her own terms, that she does not need to be surrounded by people watching every movement or making every decision for her. Returning to the athletic club could represent a middle ground in her mind. Not quite full independence, but not complete surrender to being cared for either. However, Victor Newman will have another plan, and his decision will catch her by surprise. Victor may announce that he wants Nikki to move back to the ranch and live in their home again while she recovers. This decision will carry enormous emotional weight because the ranch is not just a house. It is part of Nikki and Victor's history. It represents love, conflict, family, loss, reunion, and everything that has defined them over the years. Victor rebuilt that home for Nikki, which means his desire for her to return there is not simply practical. It is deeply personal. In Victor's mind, the ranch is where Nikki belongs. It is where she can be protected, where the family can rally around her, and where he can make sure she receives the care she needs. He may believe that bringing her home is the most loving and logical decision. To Victor, the ranch may feel like safety. To Nikki, at least at first, it may feel like losing control. Nikki may push back because she does not want to feel managed. She may argue that she can decide where she wants to recover. She may remind Victor that she needs space, dignity, and a sense of agency. Victor, however, will likely insist that this is not about control but about care. He may tell her that she needs to be surrounded by family, familiar rooms, and people who love her. He may argue that the ranch is the best place for her to heal, especially if her vision remains uncertain. Victor's protective instincts can be overwhelming, but in this case, they may also come from genuine fear. He nearly lost the woman he loves, and he may not be willing to take any chances. Their conversation could become emotionally layered because both Victor and Nikki may be right in different ways. Nikki has every reason to want control over her recovery. After losing her sight and undergoing surgery, she may feel that too many decisions have already been made around her body and her future. She may need to reclaim her voice. But Victor also has a point. The ranch offers privacy, support, and the comfort of home. It allows loved ones to help without Nikki having to navigate the outside world too quickly. The conflict between them may not be about love versus control, but about how love should be expressed when someone is vulnerable. Victor expresses love through protection. Nikki may need love to look more like trust. Eventually, Nikki will likely give in and agree to return to the ranch. Her decision may not come easily, but she may realize that she does not have to prove her strength by refusing help. There is strength in accepting care, especially from the people who truly love her. Returning home may become a symbolic step in her healing. The ranch may remind her of who she is, not just what she has lost. It may give her a place to recover surrounded by family, memories, and the love that has survived decades of conflict and reconciliation. Victor may see her agreement as a victory, but Nikki may see it as a compromise. She may not be surrendering her independence. She may be choosing to heal in a place that still belongs to her. The contrast between the Newman and Abbott storylines will make Tuesday's episode especially compelling. Nikki's story is about recovery, adjustment, and the difficult process of accepting help after trauma. Jack's story is about survival, accusation, and the terrifying consequences of a lie. Nikki is moving out of the hospital while Jack is being rushed deeper into medical crisis. Nikki is being brought home by a husband desperate to protect her, while Diane may be separated from her husband because someone is trying to frame her. Victor's decision may feel controlling, but it comes from love. Patty's actions are pure manipulation, disguised as victimhood. Both stories deal with vulnerability, but in very different ways. Kyle's loss of control and Victor's control over Nikki also create an interesting emotional mirror. Kyle is a son reacting to fear with rage. Victor is a husband reacting to fear with decisions. Both men are trying to protect someone they love, but both risk making things more complicated. Kyle's anger could hurt Diane's case if he cannot calm down. Victor's forceful plan could make Nikki feel cornered if he does not listen carefully. The difference is that Victor has decades of experience turning fear into strategy, while Kyle is still caught in the raw shock of the moment. Kyle may act from instinct, while Victor acts from command. Yet both responses show how fear can change people when someone they love is in danger. By the end of the episode, Patty may believe she has achieved exactly what she wanted. Diane could be facing arrest, or at least serious suspicion. Kyle could be emotionally shaken and increasingly desperate. Jack could remain in critical condition, unable to defend the woman he loves or expose the person who truly attacked him. Markham's support of Patty's accusation could make the situation look even worse, and Detective Burrow may move forward in a way that leaves Diane feeling trapped. For viewers, the tension will come from knowing that Diane is innocent while watching the lie close in around her. That kind of dramatic irony is powerful because it makes every accusation more painful and every delay more dangerous. Still, Patty's victory may only be temporary. The truth in Genoa City has a way of surfacing even when it is buried under lies, fear, and manipulation. Patty may feel powerful now, but her story may have cracks. Markham's involvement may eventually raise questions. Kyle may calm down enough to focus on evidence. Diane may find a way to expose inconsistencies. And if Jack survives and wakes up, everything could change in an instant. Until then, however, Diane will face one of the darkest moments of her life. She will have to hold on to the truth even when others doubt her. And she will have to trust that Jack's survival may be the key not only to their future together, but to clearing her name. Tuesday's Young and the Restless episode will therefore leave viewers with several urgent questions. Will Jack survive his stabbing, or will the Abbott family be forced to prepare for the worst? Will Diane be arrested because of Patty's accusation and Markham's support? Can Kyle control his rage before he makes Diane's situation even more difficult? How long will Patty's lie hold before someone sees through it? Will Detective Burrow realize that the case is not as simple as Patty wants it to seem? And as Nikki returns to the ranch, will Victor's decision bring her comfort, or will it create new tension between them as she tries to reclaim her independence? Genoa City will be filled with fear and uncertainty, but one thing is clear: Patty may win this round against Diane, but the truth is far from finished.